Good evening, everyone. I am Noor, and I am back with another exciting Read Talk. Today, we have with us Nargis Zahra. She is the Director of International Affairs at EYE95 TV, Washington, D.C. She's a book lover who loves to learn, read, write, and teach. She's a researcher by skill and a passionate human being who has lately become a poet too. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. I'm really excited for this talk. I welcome you on behalf of the entire team of Read Pakistan, and we're really grateful that you spared time for this noble cause. So, before coming towards our topic, I would really appreciate if you could tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me on board. It's really a pleasure,
An
and
honor.
I'm kind of like now feeling excited to talk about kids parenting and books because I'm a mother, and naturally, whatever you learn in your life, you just try to just give it to your kids, and as per nature, what my knowledge tells me that. Um, After your own survival as an individual in this world and this is on this planet, the most important instinct of human being is to raise a child. This is most
Exactly, very
important,
true.
and this is kind of a full-time self-actualization. You can relate, and even psychologists, they say that if there is a household where there is no kid, they should go and adopt one. And with that note on my passion, I'm a book lover, as you told, and it's been since I was a child. As back as I can recall, I was a book lover, and when there were guests at home, and like many a times they were like talking things which were not to the interest of a child, so I used to read books and I used to indulge in books. And books of any kind. There was just this thing that I never went for fantasy. It's not that I undermine or underestimate the creativity related to the fantasy books, but somehow I never went for it. I went for the factual books, the history, and the stories based on reality, and that helped me a lot in my education. And it has books have made my life, I think, more cheerable, um, and a better life, I think, than many people. And
Exactly.
reading a book is like a detailed conversation with a friend who is so dear to your heart, and and if you love a book, then I think many people can relate to it. When you close a book, you kind of miss it. When you finish a book, you miss the characters and you miss the writer if you like the book. And I've been teaching at a university in Pakistan, National Defense University, for 6 years. Before that, I was working with Islamabad Policy Research Institute. So I told that I was trained as a researcher, again, something related to books and reading. And yes, it has been a company always. This is my profession, this is my bread and butter, this is my living, and this is my hobby also. So that's all about it.
That's great. That's absolutely great. And books really tend to do that thing that they make you different, they make you feel different. And that is why it's our motive, it's Read Pakistan motive to for which we are working, for which you have also spared your time so that we can revive that love for books that used to be there previously.
Yeah.
So, moving towards our topic of discussion today, which is the art of parenting. To parent effectively, it's not enough to simply avoid obvious dangers like abuse, neglect, or overindulgence. The responsibility of parents include maintaining children's health and safety, promoting their emotional well-being, or instilling social skills, preparing children intellectually. There is, a lot on the plate. It is indeed one of the most difficult tasks. So, how do you see it? How do you think it can be managed in a better way? Any comments, any advices?
Well, quite a comprehensive question. But A relevant one. I think, yes, I have seen people from my age group or the younger ones. They're kind of overwhelmed and so, on toes all the time, alert all the time, being a parent. And there is a
Mm,
drill that they give to their children since morning, their food time, their sleep time, then their study, their
exactly.
tuitions, and even their parks. So there is a clock that they are making their kids follow all the time. And
Exactly.
at a point, I was doing that, but then I came to know it's kind of a drill, and it's not giving me results. So yes, it's an overwhelming thing that you have to raise a personality, and that personality is your most important responsibility. But
True.
what I feel is lacking in people is that we never try to get ourselves trained in an organized way. We never get ourselves trained as parents, and this is the most important task of our lives, because no matter the kind of job, the significance of that job or responsibility, whatever we are doing is something which is secondary at end of the day. We don't raise our children essentially that they will take care of us. The more important thing is that we have a responsibility to add better human beings to the society with appropriate learnings from previous generation, having all the learnings and skills of the contemporary times, and we just don't know how to do that. So sometimes we keep feeding them, sometimes we keep sending them to expensive schools, but yes, we miss on that, and maybe that's why I do appreciate and I love being part of such discussions, because these are the things which are not written in the books. We can share and we can learn, and we can maybe go for a better kind of parenting, because this is more important.
Exactly. You're very right. You're absolutely right that we are not only raising children, but we are also raising citizens, which are going to have a big impact on what our country is going to become tomorrow, what our community is going to become tomorrow, what the family system is going to be. And it's not just that child that we are raising. We are indeed raising an entire family. That child, how we raise him, he is going to affect an entire generation next. So you're absolutely right that it's a very difficult task, and yeah, absolutely, trying to discipline your children around the clock might not be one of the most effective ways. Moving on towards that, we know that parents always act in the best interest of child. If they're even, trying to set them up according to the alarms, then that is also, in the best interest of the child. At least they think that. But not every parenting style is in the child's best interest. We acknowledge that. There is also such a thing as overparenting, which can, cripple children as they move into adulthood and render them unable to cope up with merest setbacks. So, what are some tips which parents can follow, in order not to do overparenting and still be a good parent? So, how can they follow that?
So number one, I think uh, you are polite when you say this is over parenting. I would kind of add this is a wrong parenting way. The mostly we are the way we are doing it, and
Hmm.
at times it becomes toxic parenting. So we have to raise and train children without mismanaging their personality, which is sent by nature. They are made in a certain way, they are manufactured, they are engineered in a certain way, and we just mismanage their personalities right in first 7 to 12 years of their lives, and then we just try to keep correcting those personalities. We sometimes overindulge them with our love. Sometimes we go for angry parenting, I would say. So being angry at an angry child is something which just breaks the child. And I have seen, unfortunately, and this is not relevant to only any one culture of the world. In most of the cultures, parents consider that this is their right to hit their child just because they are parents. So being a parent is not a clean chit to do whatever you want to do with your child. Actually, we become parents biologically, and we consider that it makes us parents psychologically or emotionally too. No, it doesn't make us a parent that way. If I have an instinct to do the business, it doesn't mean that I would be able to do business in a proper way without a certification. No, I would need mentorship, I would need certification, I would need some, on ground knowledge. So, what is now happening in many societies that they make children spend time, parents spend time with parents, and they train. And I know only one place in Pakistan where a doctor was voluntarily providing guidance and counseling to parents of first child, because when you have your first child, you are so afraid of, even if sneezes, if the child has a sneeze, then you just rush to hospital. And all the physical things, sometimes they, in their love, they don't let the young parents, they don't let child have its proper sleep. And if a child sleeps for like 8 hours, they are worried that maybe it's sick. So that person, I know only one doctor who was counseling for parenting other than other things, the biological things. So we need a lot, I think, because a child is someone who has come to join your community and is to be raised according to the community, and community keeps changing and evolving, the challenges of society keep changing. So I think parents should keep teaching themselves properly, and this teaching should not be a random teaching coming from grandmothers or the aunts or the uncles, or the random kind of. And I have seen many a times there are motherly groups on Facebook. I'm part of few groups, and there is a lady, she's having a problem with a child. She just posts something, and there is a random talk about it. Every mother is sharing experience, and there is, I think, a very small number of ladies who have a genuine, I would say, balanced talk. Otherwise, they all are into, having certain hacks. How can you go for having hacks for kids? And majority does that. And then, yes, see, your child has three things. Your child has a body, your child has a mind, and your child has a soul. Now, you give the responsibility of soul to your religious preacher, and you don't even supervise that what he or she is teaching to your child. Then you just forget about his mind, and its mind is at its own, and you just take care of the body of the child. By the age that the people get adult and they have to ask their mothers that what to eat, what not to eat, it means that you have actually crippled your child by wrong parenting, by over parenting your child, or I would say, um, by toxic parenting. And then when you get tired of babysitting your child, and your child is getting at the age of 12 or so, you have to supervise the homework, you have to supervise when he or she is getting ready for the school, or whether they have eaten proper food or not. Then you become a frustrated parent, because there is a natural stamina of following a duty, and nature says that by 7 the child should know this, by 10 the child should know this, and be independent gradually. But you haven't made your child gradually independent, so you become a frustrated parent. And what starts at the age of the child's age of 12 or 14, you start venting out your frustration on your child. And then the worst thing parents do, they start comparing children, your child with the other one. So we mismanage and we break their personalities at our own. And I have recently recorded a a talk for my own show, that is, don't discipline your child. Don't try to discipline your child, because this is so wrong. Follow the child, and there are schools of thought who are already working on it, in Europe, United States of America, and such kind of Montessori's are fully operational in Sweden and Germany already, where they follow the learning pace and style of a child, because every child is a different human being. In Pakistan and in the countries like we have in South Asia, we are overpopulated, so we cannot give individual attention to every child. Okay, fine, if 6 children are different, we cannot assign 3 teachers to 6 children. But what we can do is that I think the mothers can take responsibility. The mothers can take responsibility to follow the pace of learning and grooming of their children. And the children are grooming 24/7. They are developing mentally and physically and also spiritually. So,
Very true. You pretty much summed it up, and you explained very, very well how bad parenting can have so much negative effects, how there are a series of actions that can seriously harm the child's psychology, his demeanor. Most poor parenting may not be intentional, but this does not reduce, the negative impact on the child. Some parents may not even be aware of the consequences of their actions. So, the bad parenting also stems from not knowing enough to be a better parent, or from a general lack of empathy to learning the right way that is good for a child's development. So you explained all of it very nicely and summed it up. Moving on, is it enough for parents to keep giving a lot of advices to children? And if the point comes when they feel tired of those, lectures, so shouldn't parents change the strategy towards a bit more encouraging rather than keep giving advices all of the time, even if the children are in no mood of, listening to them? So how would you say that instead of lecturing, what is a better way to let a child know that we want this from you without even telling?
yeah. Okay. Now let me relate it this way. Let's start with the point that I do believe in one thing, and that is that every child, and I think it comes from our religion also. Every child is a complete human being, a man or a woman, which is not fully grown yet. We have to understand it, because we believe that all the souls were created at the same time. So the biological age is a number which is for our biological existence in this body. So my son is 7, but his soul does exist at the same age or level at which my soul exists. And this is also proven in science that when you hurt a person emotionally, irritate or frustrate or annoy that person, regardless of the age, could be a 6 months infant, that affects that frustration or negative emotion affects the brain and the soul and the growth also. So, a child is a man or a woman who is not grown fully. We have to understand it. What will this do? This will make us believe that we don't have to shout our advice at them. And many parents do. When you shout at your child stops listening to the concept of your advice, and that hurt goes so deep that it stays for at least 72 hours with the child. This is also in the science. There is one thing which is called self-determinism. Self-determinism is a thing which is inbuilt in a child. Nature has given all of us. Just think about it. We are creations of Almighty. Almighty created us as a complete human being. He is not only judicious, he is a kind Almighty. The kind Almighty, how could it's possible that he won't give the complete wisdom or insight chip to your kid? Your kid is a complete human being. What you have to do, you have to nurture with care. And the care has to be emotional also, more, I think, emotional. You have to nurture your kid with care to make it self-determined, to make your child independent in his or her decisions, thinking and having the confidence. We have children who have done their masters and they go for an interview and they don't know what they want to do in their life. So we, as I said, we cripple our children. They can't serve themselves a cup of tea in most of the households, and they can't earn. Earning for themselves is an insult, which means that you are making your child dependent upon your earning. God forbid if something happens to you. then how would your child survive? Would your child go for begging, or your child would break down once you are not even in the world? And I lost my father when I was a teenager. And the eldest one was in engineering. The eldest brother in our family was in engineering. I have seen many families, God forbid it shouldn't happen to anyone. There is one breadwinner at home and he or she leaves, and the children are left at the mercy of the world. And we haven't prepared our children for the world. I don't ask you to send your children to the boot camps and the military schools. No, make your children independent human beings, confident human beings, and lively human beings. Give them skill to just embrace the world, and most important, give your children resilience. Coming back, advice should be there, but just like a medicine, there has to be the timing, there has to be the dose, the overdose of anything, I think. And I always, when I discuss with my clients, I give them an extreme example that the act of virtue or recitation of Holy Quran or fasting or anything, everything is, preferred by God in balance, in moderation. We are taught to be moderates, and we can't be angels. We can commit mistake, our child can commit mistakes, and we both know that, okay, fine, we remain humans. I always tell my child that we are not angels. That's why we are on planet Earth. If we were angels, we would have been somewhere else, right? So overdose, the advice should be there. You should give a routine to your child. And yes, then there is another thing that in advice comes the time of advice. We start snubbing or reprimanding our kids right in front of the people. Either we are at the shop or we are in the car with a guest, with a stranger. When you have a child and a spouse, you three make a unit. So your child's self-esteem should be taken care of even in front of hala or pupo or dado or nano, the closest relations. Your child should know that he or she has done something, and that would be talked to later. And at a point, I stopped snubbing my child in front of his father even, because I don't know whether I did it right or wrong, but just to share with the mothers that a child, I don't know, when I was reading, I realized that God related his love with mother. And the proportion of mentioning of mother and the father is 3 to 1. So there is a reason. It's not that mother is more important. The responsibility of upbringing of the child, the soul and mind of the child is more to the mother. The physical provision is more to the father, but these two things are to the mother. So education, uh, reading, I think if you make your child develop a love for reading and books, um, you would never feel your child feeling alone in the world. And I have made a point that wherever my child goes, because I'm a single mother now, whether I'm in meetings or I'm driving or he's stuck in parking with me, my child is always having a storybook and a color book with him. So these are going to be his companions. He would never be alone. And I think we should do that. And over advising, no, not at all. And let me just add, I hope I'm not taking much of your time on this question, that mothers should take some specific time to talk to their kids for a few minutes before they put their kids to sleep, and talk to them any transgression of the day, that beta, you just shouldn't have done this in the day, right? Your purpose is not to insult your child and teach a lesson. Your purpose is to protect your child from rest of the world, even the anger or anything, but correct your child and make a balanced personality. So talk to your child when putting to sleep or bed. It will remain in their brain throughout the sleep time and become a part of their personality in the morning. It won't happen in a day, but in a week. Keep repeating. And my child does miss it, bedtime stories, if I'm tired and I don't feel like reading a story to him. Now there are days when he offers to read back a story to me. So it has come to that point. So yes, that's the answer.
Okay. Thank you so much. You so comprehensively explained all of the points, and the spiritual concept that you added to it. It was absolutely wonderful. I just loved how you related, the parenting with something really spiritual to the soul of the child. I would just love to, hear it again after the recording comes. That it was
Anytime.
really a concept which is not known to me before this. So it was something new, and you so perfectly explained it. You also covered the point about comparing our children with others and how they can, parents saying that it will keep the children motivated, even if when they're, when they're adults. Even then, parents like to compare them with other adults of the family, so that he's earning better. They think that our child will, stay motivated to earn more or to get more education or get better grades, but you explained how that can, seriously affect child's mental health even.
Yes,
So
yes, please, please go on.
about the choices that parents don't let the children make. They usually let the children, they usually make the choices for themselves, maybe they think that they will be wrong choices. If the child is allowed to make a choice for himself, then maybe parents think that it will be a wrong choice. So how does that affect the children?
Um, See, I think it does affect. First, let me just add one thing to that, comparing the child. It's something interesting, but this is universal. I have come across, like on personal level, I have come across of mothers from different cultural backgrounds here in USA, because it's a nation of the people who got immigrations. So the mothers from South America or Arab or East Asia, or the local mothers from America, be those the black ones or the white ones, they love comparing their children. I don't know why this is so, like, so universal with mothers. But let me add one thing. I was feeling that I'm like criticizing the current parenting style so much, because while I'm going about, I had been notified by my friends who were mothers, and my sisters and my elders, all the time, that you are missing on your child, you are missing on his admission, you are missing on his reading ability, his writing ability, and you are missing on this and that, and just give them exposure to the word, exposure to the word. And I went into a guilt. Okay, fine, I was missing. So because I was not comparing myself with a mother, eventually I was not comparing my child with a child. And that concept was given by one of my teachers, Miss Huma Rafiq, back when I was in college. She had said that this is not appropriate as per self-respect of a human being, that you compare two human beings. If two human beings were identical or similar, God won't have created two. God would have created only one. Why God sent us human being? There are chances of billions. There are chances of billions of fertilities, but why only 7 billion all over the world? So if you are here, if your child is here, there is a specific reason, and that child is different. That child's style of learning in life could be different. So my child didn't go to any branded school in Pakistan. I was in Pakistan till 2018. So my child didn't go to any branded school. I didn't compare a school. What I compared, I went to schools and I was depressed myself. When I am depressed in half an hour in an office by that, aura of brand, means I'm not criticizing anyone, but I found
Yeah.
professionalism. What I was looking for was motherly teaching ability, which I couldn't find in the top three schools over there. And I decided to send my son to a non-branded Montessori, which I found in Lahore. And this is a Montessori which was based upon these lines. So that lady made me groom my mother's ability as a parent. And she said that if you won't stop your toxic parenting of overindulging your child, Zara, I won't be able to make your child a balanced learner, because you and me work together. And this is that where I learned that no, my child's learning does not stop at school. It is a continuity which comes at home. Continuity doesn't mean that I have to make him right. And
Mm-hmm.
she taught me that you should not be worried about what when he starts writing. You know, we are so much into they should write these pages, beautiful handwriting and all. No, your child should do the mental calculations and be happy. He should miss his school the day he doesn't go, and he shouldn't miss his school because of friends. He should miss his school because of the teacher,
The learning, the teaching.
right?
That is absolutely the
So
point.
there is this balance of protecting your child and not controlling. We
Mm-hmm.
become controlling, we do not protect them only. And then regulating your child and not dictating. In an effort of regulation, we become dictating parents and we don't even know. So that over advice comes here. And then why comparison? On a lighter note, sorry, the comparison is because our parenting tools are absent. We don't have the skill. I'm not a certified parent, actually. I'm not a certified parent. I just sat with the teachers or the Montessori teachers who were certified, and I'm a researcher. So I went into readings and readings and applied on my son. And even day before yesterday, I was told by an elder in my family that you are spoiling your kid. And you
Mm-hmm.
will laugh at it. Why I was, because my kid is on an organic diet. Diet is a challenge in USA. There is so much synthetic coming from your grocery store that you have to be very cautious, and tell your child that why greens are important. And who eats greens at 7? Even I can't eat at this age. And I was told that I'm spoiling my child because we were at a family dinner with someone, and my child, my son demanded some Oreo banana shake, and I allowed him. So I was told that allowing him a
And
violation of the diet plan at 9 p.m. is spoiling him. I said, no, it's not spoiling him, because I told the person that when I came back on my way driving back, my son told me that I have taken so this much calories, I would be missing my breakfast. I said, no, you won't be missing your breakfast. You will be missing your lunch, because we can't. Because so give your child a reason. Your child has same brain, same gray matter as you have. And let me add another thing. Um, child's brain is growing, the brain cells are growing at these tender years. So if you shout, if you compare, if you dictate, control, or if you over regulate your children or over parent your children, their brain cell growth is affected, which does affect them for the longer periods of their lives. So one of my married clients once, she said that, you know, like taking care of her husband is equal to taking care of her son, because her husband has some habits. It's not that he's insane or something, but mostly in Pakistan we have raised our sons, especially the daughters too, but the sons in a way that they hate doing things at their own, and they hate being, you know, independent at home. So yes, a balance. Whatever whoever is doing is with best of the intentions, as like up to the perfection of their knowledge, but unfortunately this is directed in the wrong way.
absolutely, you are absolutely right about everything. All of the points that you covered would certainly add to the knowledge of someone who is under the impression that all of these things are in the eventual good of our children. But after hearing this talk, maybe their perception might change a little bit. It's a very difficult task to change perceptions of people, but sometimes some things really make us to, to think, to try to ponder. So I hope that all of these things that you told
See,
us and
if
them
we have time,
might inspire
because I'm into parental counseling also. I was
them. Okay.
actually not into parental counseling, but sometimes the ladies were coming with their relationship problems, which were coming from the parenting problems. Because there is a child, he or she is 11 but wants to sleep with parents. So how
Mm-hmm.
can parents compromise their privacy for 11 years? It's so like unnatural thing. And then there are so many other things. It's just one example. So yes, we can share some tips if we have time at the end. So I can just suggest our worthy audiences that how to start and where to start. So a small thing can make a big difference here.
Big difference. Absolutely, it can. About coming towards the reading, because all of this is about reading, so I just, make a point of including a question of suggestion of books in every read talk. So, as this is about children, so, many parents read aloud to their offspring in hopes of supporting their linguistic and intellectual development. And it is true in cultures with strong oral traditions, such as indigenous American communities. Storytelling is an important parenting practice for children. You also said that you read stories, bedtime stories to your child. So, how do you see that this activity can help? And also recommend few books that that can be read to children by their parents.
Yeah. Um, I think that yes, books are something, books and blocks also, which adults and children can equally enjoy, both of those. And then it is good to get suggestion from a librarian, because there are books which are published with specific age groups tagged on it. For example, if someone has to relate story of Abdul Sattar Idhi Sahab, so how much of the story, what kind of the language, there are linguistic experts, so as per the age groups. And I what I learned from parents here in USA, that was such I would say, it was kind of a treat that every day when the house wives, the mothers who are like stay-home mothers, they end up, and there are shuttles fill, and the car, they end up with their tiffin boxes at libraries with their infants. Even the infants are crawling and they are reading stories to them. So in Pakistan, somehow we wait, even the parents who read stories, they wait for an age where a child can respond to a story. No, a child, don't wait for that. I have learned
Okay.
here that children, even their subconscious is active when they are not born, because there are
Okay.
psychological experiments
Mhm.
which have made us realize and discover, and even psychologists were not expecting it, that people may recall their, I would say, their experiences or the things they heard before they were born in the womb of their mother. So that did affect them. So how we can think that an infant is not affected by what infant is listening to. So yes, you should start reading to your child, even as if he or she is few days, as soon as you can start it. And then what I do relate to this thing, and everyone has hiccups in life. Everyone has a bumpy ride in life. At times there are phases, uh, but nothing has made me withdraw from life, just because I was so much into books. And surprisingly, your book is a gift from God, because I don't know whether people can relate to it like this or not, but I can relate that if I'm depressed and I'm there for a novel, okay, say that's a romantic novel, nothing to learn from, but I go for a romantic novel, there are 200s on a rack, and I just pick one. So how come I can relate to the characters of that novel? And it happens every time. So that's kind of a magic that I find in books, and somehow I can't find that much magic in humans. So if you can make your child learn, and yes, not only bedtime stories, as I told, that if your child, just give him or her this habit, that whenever you are free, keep a book, a lightweight paperback book with you. I sometimes carry 2 or 3 books with me, because it depends upon the mood, whether I want to read a fiction or some factual book or popular literature. It could be a biography or anything, and then start relating. Discuss books, not that how the book is printed, but what were the characters in the books. Because we talk about the grudges, the families, the biases, the happinesses, and that kind of gossip. No, have gossip depend from the books. And
Okay.
and another thing that I, because our prophet, peace be upon him, said that the legacy of his ummah is knowledge. The legacy of Jews is wealth. So what I see, I may sound very religious or spiritual to the people,
No,
but
no,
uh,
but it's a very
seriously,
comprehensive thing that you.
yep, I believe in it. This is our legacy. So there is some barakah in it. Why not? It's our legacy. And if we give this to our kid, maybe when he will be talking to a millionaire, he would have a better knowledge to impress that millionaire. And he can earn that. So barakah is not having millions in your accounts. Barakah is having contentment and peace and happiness in your life so that no one can affect you. You have to raise your child so that no event in life, um, no adversity, no negativity should affect him or his belief. And that is done by books. Why? Because we are parents, we are not libraries, we are
Mhm.
not Google, we are not the Mahans or the Pandits of knowledge who know everything, we are not prophets. So we have books are our means, our tools to parenting. And our children should know that at some point they would ask us something and we would say, no, let's search for it together. So give them a sense that they have to search. And it's more important than reading, than writing, believe me, or beautiful writing. That's so secondary. So yes, I think for this, the most important thing is start reading book. One thing in parenting is do not tell your child what to do. Show your child what to do. Start doing
Mhm.
it, and they will
Absolutely.
start doing it with you. Because if someday I am missing a prayer, my child does ask me, "Why did you miss your prayer?" So he has a concept that this is something which is in her routine, and if something from her, now I haven't related anything religious to the namaz or prayer to in front of him, because I'm waiting for the time when he will accept. I don't want to impose, and for me it is coming in few months. So and I am giving him translation. When he's learning it, the translation is going by it, because I didn't raise him in Arabic. He doesn't know. The words are so alien, the knowledge is so alien, that how, why would he keep repeating those? He would repeat when I would introduce him to the meanings and to the God and to the Prophet, and relate that how much they love him more than his mother. So if I won't be there, they would be there. And how they would be there? They would be there because of this book. This is the only book, right? And then the other books, not essentially religious books. And
That is the most important thing, I think, to teach your child that he should have a connection not only with the books but with the religious books as well.
yeah.
Perfect. So there are a few questions I would like to add. So one thing very related to it was asked by one Azim Hassan. What
Yes.
do you think is the perfect time to send your children school?
Um, I think it varies from child to child, and depends what kind of parenting you have done in last years. From 4 to 6, 4 to 6. The reason is that many of the families in Pakistan are living in joint family, so a child is not only affected by parents, the child is affected by all the people in the family, and a child sometimes is not confident to go at school at the age of 4. And I think a child should be toilet trained. This is the basic right of your child, that he should not be depending upon ayah. You never know when ayah is, like attending your child or his diaper, the kind of language they can speak, if they can pinch your child. Because I know a friend, she was thrown out of her job because she was teaching a Montessori class. She was a teacher, and a little girl was taken by ayah to the washroom, and it took long, and she followed the ayah, and there she was pinching that child, that why do you, like spoil your diaper all the time? Can't you do it at home? So how can you do this to a girl, a little child, an angel of 3 years? So I sent my child. And the second thing is that if you send your child to school, send to school initially for first 1 or 2 hours. Initially my child was going 1 hour a day, and I was there in the parking lot. I did that. I adjusted my professionalism every time with that. And after that, when he got along, so he started loving his teacher. Then 2 hours, then 3 hours. And I think if your school allows it. So I compromised every school. I came to a point where a private Montessori was willing to work on my terms and teach me also. So I think 4 to 6, depending on the confidence of your child.
Okay, perfect. There is another question in the comments as to how can we develop interest of reading in our children.
First thing is that I think buy them books instead of toys. If you can
Okay.
afford, go for and take them to the book melas, or if you are on internet with your kid, share their screen, and instead of letting them watch the cartoon, take them to the websites, show them the books with the pictures as per their age, and do not I would say refrain their reading to a specific school of thought. Let them read science, let them read, because they have inbuilt chip to understand every even most complicated of the subjects or courses in the world. It is just there, so they can understand geography. My son understands geography better than me, because the other day he was looking at a menu card and there was a map, and he said, I'm not going there. I said, why? So he just cracked a joke out of it. This dish comes from Atlantic and there is Bermuda Triangle. I was, oh wow, okay. So he just related a joke. This is part of his own understanding and culture, and he loves geography. I never understood geography because he read books and he started reading books. Now he knows more than me in so many things. So the pictorial books, and keep giving them books, gifting them books, even on birthdays. Compromise on anything, but and always give them beautiful racks or places. And yes, as a mother, what I do is start keeping one pictorial book on their side table. Start doing it. So unconsciously they will start, handling with it, tearing it apart, and don't tell them anything. Because if they have to become friends with a book, sometimes they can hit their friend. You understand? If they are friends with a book, they can tear it apart. They can just tear its pages. Just talk to them as a book and say, oh my God, you hit me. You just tore my pages apart. You did hurt me. I was your friend. So don't say, why you book? Oh my God. So don't do that. Okay? Become a book. Talk to them. They will start loving book. They will do it twice or thrice, and just they will start loving it.
Okay, that's perfect. So there are many more comments. I think I haven't had these much comments in any talk before. So that shows the interest. So they're merely comments. I don't see any more questions here. Or maybe if I'm missing out, so sorry guys if your questions get left out. But basically, I think everything was pretty much summed up and you covered everything so comprehensively. So it was really an informative session, and people are saying the same.
Thank you.
So I think it's our time to
Can I add
it's
something?
really
Can I add one thing? If you can give me
yeah,
1 minute
sure.
quickly,
Yeah.
because sometimes parents come to me with this thing that their children do not cooperate, right?
Mhm.
Their children do
Okay.
not cooperate. They become kind of aggressive children. They break things, they spoil things, or they deliberately irritate their parents. So just that when parents become perfectionist, the children don't know what is wrong, but they can feel what is wrong, right?
Mhm.
When they feel that something is wrong, they develop an emotion which is called apathy. When they
Mhm.
develop apathy, they become indifferent. They give it a damn whatever is happening to you. You are tired, or you're sick, or you're working hard in your kitchen or in your office, right? So that is coming from your own behavior. So your child does not cooperate and withdraws him or herself from whatever is happening at home. The guest come, he will go back to his room, right? So if your child is not cooperating, is at an age which is 12 plus, you will have to cooperate a bit more. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really an informative session, and I feel really glad that I did this session because it was really an informative one. On behalf of entire team of Read Pakistan, and for promoting this noble cause, we are very grateful to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear. Have a great day. Allah Hafiz.
Okay, Allah Hafiz.